What happens to somebody's mind when they sit at the bottom of a cave? I stayed down there alone and made it like it was my cave all along, from the beginning of time, like God or whoever put it here just for me to find tonight. And now I had to stay down here and think about what I thought, long as it took. But at the same time, even in my own cave, I still felt out of place. And I'm not just talking about tonight. I'm talking about all the damn time, in my own body, ever since that day in Stockton. You know how when you're a kid and you get a new badass rubber football for Christmas, and then when you wake up the next morning, it takes a few minutes to remember why you're so excited? It's like that for me, only the opposite. When I wake up, everything's normal for a while. I'm just plain Miguel, and then suddenly it hits me what I did. It punches me right in the ribs. It screams in my ears how everything isn't normal anymore. It's fucked. I sat in the cave a long-ass time, lifting my feet whenever the water came in, imagining myself falling to the kitchen floor again in Stockton for the 100,000th time, falling flat on my back, slamming my head against the wooden cupboard. The wind knocked out of me, and my head all wet with my own blood. I stared at the dark cave wall and saw everything happening all over again, from every angle, in slow motion, speeded up, me falling, and the sound of my head hitting the cupboard, and the big knife in my hand, and the kitchen table turning over, and me falling and hitting my head, and the big knife sticking straight up, and blood gushing from my head, pooling on the cracked tile, and his eyes on mine, and then not. His eyes on mine, and then not. Against the dark cave wall, those 20 seconds played like a movie, a video some teacher was showing at school, and I just sat there in the back row watching it. This surge of aloneness rolling through my entire body, numbing the tips of my fingers and making my skin sweat even though I wasn't moving, and everything trying to push itself out from the back of my eyes. And I know how people say you should just let it all out, even a guy, but what the fuck do they understand? 'Cause all I know is the only way I could go on living for even one more hour is if I kept everything exactly where it had to be, inside. I clenched up every muscle and held it there with all my strength, like I'd done every other time. I shoved it back down my throat, gagged on it, swallowed it back into my stomach like poison. And right then I decided something. I didn't care if I ever left this cave, like Rondell said, only different. I didn't care if I ever really made it to Mexico, or if I met another cool girl like Mei Li, or even if I lived or died. I didn't care about nothing or no one, and I never would again, 'cause I didn't deserve to. And just like what Mong said to the store worker earlier, I had nothing left to lose. Those weren't just words he was saying, they were the truth. It took me being in the bottom of a cave to truly understand what he meant. In the middle of the night, the middle of nowhere, I really had nothing. I dreamed about me staying in the cave for the rest of my life, eventually starving to death. How years from now a couple adventure-type kids would find my bones. How the news channels would all do a story about the mysterious skeleton found in the bottom of the cave. Who was it? Why did he just stay in a cave until he starved to death? After a while, though, I took a deep breath and wiped my eyes with the back of my hands. I squeezed my own arms as hard as I could to show I was still real. Then I climbed out through the mouth of the cave and went to go help Mong and Rondell do the food. When they said they had it covered, I went to my bag and got my journal out. I went a little ways down, closer to the water, where I could see better, and wrote and wrote and wrote. And now I think I've said every single thing that's happened since Mei Li told her story about those two people in China.